Welcome everyone to Spyro the Dragon Reignited Trilogy. We'll be starting over today with a new game. I have 100%ed the game before, but I was in the mood and it's been a couple of years, so I decided to give it another shot. So let's hop on in. I won't take too much of your time. Let's get going.
Okay, rolling.
It's been peaceful here in the Five Worlds, or is it 6? For a dragon's age, we now have 12,000 treasure, or is it 14,000?
What about this Ganasty Ganok character? Now, I understand he's found a magic spell to turn gems into warriors for his cause.
I'll take that question. Nasty Nork is a simple creature.
Simple?
He has been contained in a remote world and is no threat to the Dragon Kingdom.
No threat?
Besides, he is ugly.
Ugly? That does it!
Huh? Looks like I've got some things to do.
So I don't know if there's ever a lore explanation for why Spyro didn't get turned into Crystal. Why Nasty Nork just missed him.
Thank you for releasing me, Spyro. Free 10 dragons in the Artisan World, then find the balloonist. He'll transport you to the next world.
What about Nasty Nork? I'm going after him.
Find dragons first. That's all I can tell you.
So in the original game, that intro did exist, but it was just an interview that you saw, and then you saw Nasty Nork get upset, and I just sort of telepathically knew that they were insulting him. This time they made the interview on TV, so it made sense how he knew and was able to instantly respond. But it was basically the same intro.
Nasty Nork? I'll torch him.
Keep your horns on, Spyro. You have much to learn first. Do you know what the dragonfly following you is doing? His name is Sparks, and he's helping and protecting you. Keep an eye on him and see what I mean.
Now if I remember right, in the original game, before the remaster, these stones didn't glow or do anything to show that they were doing anything. So it was a secret that something would happen, and I believe it's basically at the end of the game that a dragon would inform you about this secret here. So this flight level that shows up here, Sunny Flight, I think was intended to be the last flight level of the game, which is why it's a lot harder than the others. It's because you're supposed to find out significantly later that it exists. But we'll take care of it when we start taking care of the levels in this homeworld. And I will beat my head against it a bunch of times until I succeed. Hey. So yeah, the goal is to 100% the game. I've been playing this game since I was a child. Obviously the original. Back in those days, I was a lot younger, hand-eye coordination wasn't awesome, and I remember regularly having to hand the controller over to my brother to play through some of the harder levels because I just couldn't handle them. So it was nice getting this remaster where I could give it another shot and actually get through it all myself.
Hey, Spyro! Press the jump button twice to glide. And don't be afraid.
Afraid? Of what?
Falling from high mountain peaks? Plummeting into prehistoric glaciers?
Oh, that.
Yep. And Spyro doesn't have the ability to fly, except randomly in flight levels. So he does actually have to worry about falling. Get back here. So these guys take 3 attacks to drop all their gems. Gems also, if you're not familiar, come in different colors, and those colors signify how many points they're worth. So when we get to a point where we reach the end of a level and we're still missing, you know, 1 gem, then I know it's a red gem lying around. If we're missing 2 gems, then it could either be 2 reds or a green, etc. So that's something we'll deal with when we get to that point, because that will certainly happen multiple times. One thing they added, it shows up, I think, in the 3rd game, that you can have sparks point to nearby gems. And so with this Reignited trilogy, they've now made that a default available for just from the start, to just have sparks point out gems. I will try not to use it, but if a level is dragging on too long, then I'll do so I don't bore any viewers I have. But the hope is that I can just go through and find them all myself. Though I'm not a speedrunner, obviously, so I don't have everything fully memorized of where it's all at.
Cool flash. Do that again.
The Artisan's boss is through a portal in the Dragon Mouth, but you are not yet ready, Spyro. First, you must complete one of the other Artisan lands.
Alright, so we've got all of the dragons. Now we just got to keep finding all the treasure, and we'll be done with this world. There's a way, yeah, the guidebook, which will show where we're at in each level. So I can see that we still have 25 more gems to find for this level. And then we'll move on to some of these extra portals that go to other locations. Alright. And the rest should hopefully be in here. Otherwise I'm gonna have to go looking around. Nope, there we go, the last 2. And we'll talk to this guy, Marco the Balloonist.
You prove your worth by rescuing 10 dragons, then you must use this balloon to fly to a new world.
So yeah, we have to rescue 10 dragons, which means we're gonna have to go into a couple of these worlds at least. Obviously, we're gonna go into all of them. Let's start with Stonehill, which I think is the level they intend you to do first, because it's the one right out front. Loading times can be a bit long in this game, but hopefully not terrible. And at least they did allow you to somewhat control Spyro as he's going through the loading zone. So, I remember struggling with those rams as a kid, and I don't know what it was about them. I think I was trying to ram them, which you totally can do, but I think they just kept hitting me wrong. But that was one of the things I struggled with, that now is just not an issue anymore. So we're looking for a key somewhere to unlock this. Can't be opened by us.
Watch the dragonfly, Spyro. His color indicates his power. When he eats butterflies, he stays strong, like me.
Sure.
Yeah, the flight levels are the worst. There's some people who really love them. I have always been really bad at them, and therefore I haven't liked them. We'll see how I do on this playthrough. But Yeah, traditionally I have had a hard time with them. The skateboarding levels that come in the third game are also pretty rough. It's sort of a staple of 90s games that they need to have a skateboarding level, because Tony Hawk and all that was a big deal at the time. Now it just feels weird that there's randomly a skateboarding level in this game. Alright, let's just keep clearing all this out. And as we went through the tunnel to get over to this area of the level, you probably heard the nya 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 nya, which is an egg thief. I super hated those as a kid as well, because I could never catch them. But I think I should have an easier time, so I'm just going to keep clearing out the rest of this before I actually go up to the upper level.
After you've freed all the dragons, pass through this fancy vortex thingamajigger. It'll take you back to the artisan home. But first, let me tell you a story.
No thanks. See ya!
So when the game first came out, the original version, there were only a handful of different styles of dragons, so I'm really happy that they went through the effort to make them all look different and have different voices, etc. So one thing that easily is missed is this little area down here. It's kind of hidden. You can see it a little bit better from up above if you're looking around, but it's designed to be hidden, and this is where that key we needed is at. If I can charge straight. There we go. Yeah, so I assume you're talking about Tony Hawk. He is a pretty good, chill guy, from what I know. I'm definitely not knowledgeable about a lot of celebrities and stars and whatnot, but from what I understand, he's done a lot of pretty cool things besides just skateboarding. Oh, come on. Hit it. There we go.
When you free a dragon or step on one of their platforms, you're saving your progress. That could be useful if you run into trouble. Not that you ever run into trouble, Spyro.
So in the original game, you had to save at these platforms, which is why you have this fairy who's just shocking us to kind of autosave. Now you can save wherever, but they never really explain what those fairies are doing. They just zap you periodically, and you just kind of have to know that history that meant that they were autosaving for you. One thing they probably should have added with this remake is explaining that. They explain it in the later games. Alright, I think that's everything on these lower levels. So now we'll head on through and go upstairs.
Spyro, my friend, how about a hint on gliding?
You bet!
For the longest glide, press the jump button at the top of your jump, and try pressing the action button to drop down mid-flight.
So in the second game, they added what they call as the hover whenever you click the action buttons. Rather than just dropping, Spyro actually gets a tiny bit more height and distance, and so it's useful to get to additional ledges and stuff that were harder to make it to. I will probably accidentally click that a bunch of times trying to hover, and it just doesn't work in this game. So if you see me just drop right before getting to a ledge, I've probably hit the action button to attempt to hover and just dropped instead. So that's our first egg thief out of the way. There'll be lots more. And now I'm just looking for treasure, because I think I've got all the dragons. And this is an invisible barrier, so we can't go past it, which is a shame, because out there looks cool. But obviously they've got to put limits on where we're able to go. So let's just circle around this whole castle. Can't go up here. Even if you try, there's an invisible wall. Alright, I think got everything there. So what are we missing? We are missing 4 gems, and that's it. Alright. I'm gonna assume they're on this upper level somewhere. I'll head around looking. If it takes too long, then I will use sparks to speed up the process, because no one wants to see me spend ages just circling. But hopefully I can find them on my own. Let's see. So far, I'm not seeing anything. Oh, there's a gem. Just missing 3 more. There we go. Green and a red. And that'll be 100%. I'm not sure I'll be able to find my way back to the... Oh, yeah, it's right here. In real life, I am extremely directionally challenged, and that does also apply to video games, so if I get lost, it's normal for me. So we can re-kill these guys. When we kill an enemy who's already been killed, then they drop these little clear gems, and you'll see little dots appearing around our number of lives. When we eventually fill that up, then eventually we'll gain a new life. It's not something I need to prioritize, but if I'm running past an enemy, I'll re-kill them, just so I can keep gaining new lives. Hopefully I don't lose too many lives. I don't actually know what happens when you run out of lives, what the game over situation is. I assume it's not too bad. Probably just gives you 5 more lives and starts you back over at the homeworld or something. I'm sure I ran into that issue as a kid. So no gems behind us. So this is where they teach us about enemies with metal. That Spyro can't flame metal. Yeah. Did they even attack us? I don't know, that looked like he was trying. In these early levels, a lot of the times the enemies don't bother attacking. These guys certainly do. Ow. But yeah, the early levels are just tutorials mainly, so you don't really have to worry too much about danger.
Oh, it's you. I wasn't sure if you'd escape those annoying little creatures. Of course they wouldn't bother me, but here's a hint. Their metal armor is fireproof, but a charge attack will take care of them.
Oh, and obviously that's another one of these chests that needs a key, which we don't yet have. So we'll have to keep an eye out for it. And gonna kill that for a butterfly so that I can re-heal back up. So down here is where we're gonna find that key, so I'm just gonna head that way right away. So big enemies can't be charged, and metal enemies can't be flamed, and so I remember being confused by this guy. But from behind, he doesn't have metal. So you just have to time it. Oh. Come on. So he doesn't actually do damage. He just launches us. So it's not in danger of actually killing us. It's just annoying.
Psst. Spyro, wanna know a secret? Use the action button when you want to zoom in and look around.
Oh, your secret's safe with me.
Alright, we got our key. We're gonna keep looking around because there's always gems sort of tucked between these pillars, hiding out of the way. I think I got all of them. Alright, and we'll just take care of this chest right away, now that we've got the key. And then we can move on with the level. So these early levels will be pretty simple. When we get to later levels, like, I have horrible memories of a level called Treetops that we'll get to eventually, and that level I will do absolutely terribly with. But for these early ones, I can just knock them out pretty quick. I think there's a skill point, actually, for lighting both of these. Maybe? Maybe not. There are skill points added to this game. Skill points came with the third game, but with recreating... when they were recreating this Reignited trilogy, they added skill points to the other two games as well. So this... Let's see, Artisans and Stonehill. We already got the Artisans. Stonehill, we didn't actually get their skill point. I don't know if I'm going to take my time to try and get all the skill points, because some of them are rather tough. I could, probably. Like the one for Stonehill that we missed is, I guess, burning a pink tulip. So I'd have to find where that pink tulip is and then just burn it. So, depends on how interesting that is to viewers. Do you want to see the skill points? They're not counted towards the 100% completion. It's just extra lives, and I think if I'm attempting to platinum the game or whatever, which isn't a thing on PC, as far as I know, but there's probably like Steam trophies or whatever. But because the skill points weren't part of the base game, they're not counted towards the 100% completion.
Big enemies like this Nork with the club cannot be charged, but a quick flame, that should defeat them.
Yeah, so I was just craving some more Spyro. So that's why we're doing this today. It's been years, and Spyro is a great game. A major part of my childhood. And then I just love this Reignited trilogy with how updated things are. Graphics aren't everything to me, but they did a top-notch job making everything just look great. So we've done, I guess now we'll do, what is it, Town Square or something? Over here. So this one does have a skill point for all bulls stuck. So that is saying that if I ram rather than flame the bulls throughout the entire level, then I'll get a skill point. So I'll keep that in mind and just try for it. Alright, always look behind you in case there's some hidden treasure put back there.
Welcome to Town Square, Spyro. Begin exploring by gliding to that area with the bulls. Use the right stick to get a good look.
Alright. So because I've rammed him, he got stuck rather than being killed. I still get the gem. But that's what's needed for that skill point. So that's a new type of chest. You have to damage it either through charging or flame to get the gem to pop out, and then jump up and grab the gem before it gets back into the chest.
Thanks, Spyro. I had the worst itch on the tip of my wing. Did you know that you get your longest glides by pressing the jump button at the very top of your jump?
Nope, missed the bull. There we go. Gonna be careful with the flame around here so I don't accidentally flame him. We can hear another egg thief over there. Come on. Okay. Seriously. That bull was being annoying. Get my health back up. We'll give it another shot. There we go.
Spyro, did you see a man dressed in blue running around here? He's a thief, and he's stolen a dragon egg. You've got to track him down and get that egg! Run! Run! I'm getting a little winded.
Looks like we've gained a couple of new viewers. What are your guys' experiences with Spyro? Have you played the Reignited trilogy, and did you play it when you were kids with the original game? I'm curious. So this was a hard turn for me when I was a kid. Now it seems rather simple. There we go. So I killed him in midair, so rather than getting the animation for collecting the egg, it just gives it to me because they don't really have an animation for getting it in midair. But that's the easiest way to catch him, is he's going to make that jump down, and so if you just time it and jump down as well in flame, you can just catch him right there rather than having to do the loop a few times. Cool, so you've played both versions. Same. It was definitely among my favorite games as a child. We had PlayStation, and then we had a Game Boy that just basically had Pokemon games. So I've played plenty of both. And then obviously when I got my first real computer, then I started playing games like Morrowind and such computer games. But for console games, Spyro was my favorite. And you'll see I got the skill point there because that was the last bull that got stuck. And hopefully this will be the last dragon. We'll be at 100%.
Thank you for releasing me, Spyro. You can always check your progress by accessing the guidebook through the pause menu.
All right, all dragons found, so I believe that means 100%. All right. I think we don't have that much more left of the Artisan Homeworld. We've got... Let's see. We've done Stonehill, Dark Hollow, and Town Square. Is it just the boss and the flight level left? I think. This is just to go to the balloonist, yeah. And I think in there is just the boss. So I guess we'll do the flight level first, which I will beat my head against plenty. I'm not great with the flight levels, so we'll see how this goes. I also don't remember the optimal routes or anything. So I think Sunny Flight was intended to be the last flight level, because in the base game I don't think they told you about the secret of jumping on the platforms. Oh, that's not a good start. That's a really bad start. And so I think it's one of the hardest ones because it was intended to be the last one. At least that's my headcanon. Alright, so far so good. And I know you can just fly over the top somewhere rather than going down through everything. Okay. So far, so good. So that's chests and barrels done. So we've got arches and then these planes. Whoa. That startled me. Come on, guys. Time-wise, I think I'm doing fantastic. One more plane. There you are. Alright. And is that the only arch? Yes, so I've gotten all the others. So we're gonna continue around. Don't hit the water. This run is going pretty good. Two more. One more. And there we go. I'd call that a pretty successful Sunny Flight. Let's head out. Okay, I think, yeah, second try. Again, it's shocking to compare me now versus me as a kid. I think all that's left is the boss level, which you gotta go through a full level, collecting gems and whatnot, to actually get to the boss. And the sort of funny thing is that all the bosses, I won't say all, several of the bosses in this game are just sort of more comedic rather than actually difficult bosses that you would expect in the game. These dogs, those are the real boss of this level. Okay, so the dogs have to be hit twice, and they sort of track onto you. The best way I've found to not get hurt is to immediately pull back to try and jump out of their range. Because you have a roll, but they sort of lock onto you and will just seek over to hit you anyway. But yeah, as the dogs get grouped up too high, or too many of them, then they're really bad news. But let's see if I can do this. One of the other problems with this boss level is they don't have any fodder, so you can't heal up. You gotta go through the whole thing without dying, or without healing, or dying in order to re-heal. Neither of which I want to go through. So, I'm just gonna try and slowly make my way past all these dogs. There we go. So far, so good. There we go. Okay. It may not be the most exciting gameplay to watch me run away from all the dogs, but it's what I'm gonna do. There we go. Cool artwork scattered around. That obviously wasn't in the original game. Back when I used to try the roll method, I always would roll off this little ledge here. So many times. Ah, come on. And yeah, so there's no way to heal, so I'll be at blue level sparks until eventually we either beat Toasty or I get further injured.
Nasty Nork has put one of his most devious henchmen in charge of the Artisan World.
Bring him on. I think I smell a barbecue.
Be careful, Spyro. Toasty has many tricks up his sleeve.
There we go. So we've just got Toasty here. One down. Next dog. Then we hit Toasty again, and we see that Toasty is just a sheep on stilts. Oh, man. Okay. Alright, that's all the dogs. And there's Toasty down. Are these the last couple of gems? It is, so that's 100%. Alright. That puts us to 100% for the Artisans World. I think it's pretty standard that you have the base home world, 3 extra levels, a flight level, and then the boss level for each world we go to. We'll see how true that is. If you saw that butterfly was blue, I think every 10 butterflies that you kill, every 10 fodder you kill, the butterfly that's released will be a extra life butterfly.
Wow! I see you've been busy rescuing dragons, Spyro. You may travel to the Peacekeepers world if you like. Are you ready to go?
Yeah, let's head on to the Peacekeepers.